Welcome back to part 2 of Kerk's Cading Compendium. On this match, we are on Mall, and you can hear me making my call out here for the front prop falling. Normally I don't K this far up, but there it is, there's the call. Back up, 200 HP, and I can take a few hits there from the Butcher actually. So maybe we should have fallen back a little bit faster. Just trying to farm as many points as I can. Here it is. We got our standard VK here. I'm actually going to move this force field emitter to a much better location. You can place it on the wall, as close to the wall as possible. The zombies can't get an angle onto it to hit it, especially tickle monsters if we're trying to do a tickle strat. You can see the wave ended. And I'm not even opening the arsenal to buy my deployables. I'm buying 2 repair field emitters using hotkeys. I'll put those in the description for you. I don't have a hotkey for the arc zapper here. And there I am complaining about a visual bug. Should be gone by the time you guys play. It's harder to find items when you can't see the visuals. So I'm just doing my best to stage props, getting ready for next incoming wave. I do make the mistake of staging the smaller props up top, like that chair should be on bottom. You'll see I do that a few times this game. It ends up coming to bite me, but we end up winning this one, spoilers. You see I repositioned this bench a few times. The zombies keep on getting the opportunity to jump on it, which hurts our DPS. You can see right there on the left side of the screen, he's jumping on it, so I move the bench up again. There's not really a whole lot for me to do at that moment, so I don't mind just readjusting props over and over again. Get a better DPS. Not too much for me to do at the moment. Just farming points. Looks like one other generator is up at A. But they should be falling pretty soon. I think the cater dies at some point. Look, and there I go, replacing the bottom prop there with a prop that's far too big on the best shooting angle. So as soon as that wave ends, yep, there it is. I move it up. A better spot. Always want to put the big props up top. Go for my second arc zapper. I always go for 2. One a little bit forward, one a little bit back. And I go for an assault turret. All the placement of my deployables here end up changing at some point. But you'll see that whenever I buy pulse boxes, you can see on the left side of the screen, purchase 3 pulse boxes. That's me using my large pulse box bind. Dramatically improves how quickly you can restructure your Cade and place deployables during intermission. As you can see, the intermission's ending, and I haven't even spent all my points. Still have 50 points left. It's just kind of the nature of Cading. You don't always have the luxury of spending your points during intermission. This boss is a cremator, actually. So the Z team, if they hadn't gone cremator, they would have won this game 100%. If any other boss, we lose it. But whoever's playing zombie team doesn't understand this boss. It just isn't good in any situation ever. I can place 2 force field emitters and 1 repair field, and we never have to deal with that boss ever again. He actually ends up letting me farm him for a while, and I get far more than the 20 points it costs me to replace repair field emitters every now and then if the zombies try to focus them. And he does end up getting some prop damage, but not nearly as much as if he had just gone Nightmare and tried to harass the Cade that way. It's definitely just like a really awkward point starve boss that ends up actually doing the opposite. Tries to get prop damage, but doesn't do prop damage quickly enough to actually pressure a Cade, and is easily countered by force field emitter. I'm in the position where you can see I'm running out of good replacement props for this bottom right part of the V-Cade, so I'm staging some junk pack props. I like to go through all the junk packs before I decide to go to prop 2. So you'll see I've been using junk packs. These are where things get pretty heated. I use my nail gun bind to buy that, but you can see all the props are losing their health at the same time, which is really unfortunate. Usually you want the zombies to be breaking props one at a time. So when that bench breaks, I'm replacing the bench, and you can see I don't have a good secure on my B. I make a mistake with trying to replace it with this board. It's not really a high health prop, and there's repairs to be had. My core prop is taking a lot of hits, so a little bit lazy in cading and end up panic cading here. And it ends up working out in the end, but there was no reason for me to end up having to panic cade. I'm begging the shooters to do more damage. It's wave 5, they should all be on tier 6, but they're clearly not. Auto turret runs out of ammo because it's shooting non-stop, which is a bad sign. I usually buy auto turret to punish. And here we go. Here comes the panicating. And you see, I spam by armor there. I stopped for just a second to spam by armor because if I die, the whole team dies, right? So if I can take 1.5 seconds to buy armor, and you see on the right side, they're actually trying to get in, but they're stopped on my turret, which is why turrets are so incredibly valuable. You can place them in a position where they essentially do a bunch of damage and they act as a prop. I think I buy armor again here. Yep, another 50 armor. I really should have bought all the way up to 100 in case I get smacked by the nightmare, but you know, just trying to recade as much as I can. And it ends up working out. Yep. And there's always a Captain Obvious saying, "Oh, this is the last gen. Oh, we should really recade. We should really use props here." And it's like, no shit, Sherlock. Like, gators throwing nanites nonstop, buying armor, placing the props. And there it is. I need you to shoot this. Yeah, that's what I need. People offering to buy props. There's props inside the gen. They shouldn't be worried about that at all. They should just be trying to do as much damage as possible. There it is. We made it through that wave. That's the worst wave of this game. Everything after that is pretty easy and breezy. Everybody's farmed up. They're getting close to like perfected tier 6s and whatnot after a wave like that where the zombies are just forcing as hard as they possibly can to get in. And I imagine it's pretty frustrating for Z Team because they're like, oh, we're almost in, push, push, push. And the Gator touches up, throws a prop in at the right time, all the shooters. You can see I'm not opening Arsenal, I'm just spamming hotkeys. Intermission's almost over. I still have 600 points that I haven't spent. So, as you can imagine, it's quite difficult to spend all those points in 60 seconds while recading. You had no cade left when that wave ended. Had to rebuild the whole cade and spend over 1,000 points. So, if that's not carrying, I'm not sure what is. There we go. You can see I'm always using those teeny tiny props on the right side, and everything else is on the top or on the left side. Now, oh, I make the mistake of putting that table. It's because of the visual guide bug. There we go. I make the mistake again of putting a prop that's too big, and I forced to use it on the right. Ends up working out just fine. We're just at the point where everybody has like miniguns and perfected shales and blue ones and whatnot, so no reason for us to lose this. We can basically carry with DPS now, even though I'm not on my A game cading. There you can see the fire flames. Oh, there you go. I spam my grenade hotkey. That nest is too close, and I blow it up with 3 grenades. You only need 2, but I always buy 3 just because if for whatever reason one doesn't hit the nest properly, it doesn't do full damage, the nest is going to stay up and they're going to repair it. Try again for the further nest. I don't think the grenades bounce far enough. You can see I did some damage to the nest, but it only did like 200 a grenade, and I decided it's probably better worth my time to just stage and replace props than it is to throw grenades. Even though I have the points for it, I'm sitting on 1,000 points unspent for wave 6, and it's not uncommon for wave 6 to sit on 1,000 unspent points. You don't really have the time or the resources to spend points that manically. Maybe if I had more keybinds, it would be possible. I could have a keybind for another arc zapper and another turret. It would be possible. But I'd like to replace on the left side first here. That's still going to block. And there he is. We're out. GG. Yep. And everybody gets out there. 27% win rate on a small map out of 2,900 games. Let's see what the score is. believe the prop damage is something around 44,000. Yeah, there it is. 44,673. Let's go to the next map. Alright, beginning of game 2, you can see I selected a generator that has a wider doorway. These doorways are typically the same height as a normal doorway, but will be about twice as wide. And as far as I'm aware, the most effective strategy is just to still build a V-cade, but have your core prop further up to the doorway to block. Um, as you can see, I'm using the vending machines as a core here, and it's working out fine. Using a door as a measuring device to ensure everything's spaced well, and test everything from inside and out, and it's good to go. Start throwing everything down. My props, reinforce. A lot of people like to call this end tech, or nesting tech, or there's a tons of names for it, but essentially you're just using the collision of props to place them inside of each other. As you can see with those blue shelves, vending machines fit inside. But we're just gonna fast forward through this part, skip a lot of it because you've seen it all before. My other videos. Here are my callouts. There's me yelling at H team because they're talking over me. It's pretty standard game of ZS. Everybody's yapping all game long. Nobody's really listening to callouts. After I told everybody to shut up, I think they start making proper callouts and they actually start locking in and playing. It's pretty obnoxious when everybody's trying to play proper game of ZS. We're losing props left and right in players because we just want to yap about random nonsense instead of play the game. Preferably, people would go to their own private Discord calls. Oh, and look, we've got it. We've got someone with a repair field. Yep. There we go. You really shouldn't be farming your creators for points. There's plenty of zombies to kill. That's how that conversation goes, typically. Wait, why? It is. You probably heard me say before, if you played with me, repair mains don't exist. Not really a role in the game. Repair all the props myself pretty easily. We just shoot the zombies. I'm gonna skip through most of this game. Z team sells once again. There's an interesting recurring theme I see in my win cades is Z team does something dumb. H team doesn't really do anything interesting, and we just kind of auto win because Z team doesn't really know what they're doing. They're throwing their bosses, they're picking the wrong bosses. If we're on one generator like this, we really should lose. Like I should not be able to carry this game the way I do. We have prop dupes and all sorts of things. I think Z team is actually in a really strong place right now in balance. Yep, here goes the butcher. The butcher's about to die too. It's replacing props, which they can, and the nightmare dies. That's 3 bosses in one wave. It's entirety of wave 4. See, I get focus targeter there, and I get maintenance suite. I get the other one that upgrades my zappers and repair field emitters, and I have 2 of those. I never directly upgrade my deployables. Not really worth the time and the effort and the trouble for something that can get destroyed pretty easily. And there's currently a bug that exists where if you're trying to upgrade a repair field emitter, you have to place it down and pick it back up again before you can go up another upgraded tier. Then you have to buy scrap, there's a remit, and it's a lot more trouble than it's worth than if you were to just get those trinkets and forget about them and then just have them be, what, 30 to 50% stronger for the rest of the game. Just have to refill them. You can see I'm trying to nail these props as soon as they're done printing, because there's been a frost shade since wave 5, I believe. And we're just trying to do our best to make sure we don't die to props. It actually ends up being slightly close. I mean, if I was printing props more aggressively and using all the junk packs, probably would have been as close as it was, but I wasn't really worried. We had some pretty good damage. So yeah, by a stem and a burp, getting ready for exfil. Use the stem early, use the bourbon early, and I pull my fists out. When you have bourbon active, you get a massive damage resistance. Doesn't end up mattering here, but typically you could take nearly twice the amount of damage you would normally take if you didn't have a bourbon active with your fists out. And there's no zombies there, but if there were zombies, I could probably dance on their heads for a while with the bourbon active. But 4,000 points earned. We're not really doing a whole lot besides replacing props, put in a few airfield emitters. I did get most of my own props myself this game, but yeah, let's see the prop damage. Prop damage, 56,000 barricade damage absorbed. It's pretty good. Not sure how barricade assistance points are calculated. It says 22,000. So maybe I missed half my repair points. I don't know. All right, going into our third game here. We are on Abandoned Castle. And you can see here I'm making a pixel perfect gate. I can crouch jump out, but not in. It's just something that happens on occasion when you're placing your core prop with that plank. The blue laundry cart there up in the top left corner is just zero point 0.1 units or 0.01 units smaller than the player size, which is 32 units, so it should be something like 31.9 units in depth. I wouldn't recommend using it unless you have a lot of time to space your core prop. This match ends up being a bit of a snooze fest. You can see I spend a lot of time just restructuring the cade and staging props. This is at 4x speed. Normally this would never happen. You'd get a boss harassing you every now and then, and maybe a nest swap would occur, but we're in wave 3 and I haven't seen a single zombie until just then. A few players are dying and grabbing their bags, use their ammo. Try to catch up on points so I can have some sort of uh actually this game some sort of ability to buy repair field emitters. You'll see in this game I'm competing with other players in my cade. Oh, this is me asking players to not buy prop tubes too early. When I have props like this, there's no reason for players to buy a prop tube that early. I haven't even thrown my junk pack with props yet. I haven't seen any zombies. Um, prop tube's 100 points. That's, the equivalent of a, what, tier 4 during intermission. So, could be a lot of scrap, could be a lot of damage, could be a ton of different things. Keep players alive, keep healthy. It's just a counterintuitive way to play the game. If you're spending a bunch of points on props instead of spending your points on keeping the props you already have alive and healthy, then you're not really solving the problem of the zombies pressuring the cade, and you're placing undue stress on the rest of your team by misallocating your points. In my personal opinion, I don't think the prop tube should even exist in the game. I know it's an incredibly powerful tool, but it's kind of a get out of jail free card when the team is sleeping, not collecting their props, and they're not planning appropriately. Um, Junk pack usually does enough in a game. You need a few extra props here and there, but yeah, I think if you let 2 other gens fall and you didn't bring enough props to another gen and you weren't planning to solo gen it, then you just shouldn't win. Unless you retake a gen, obviously. You can see here I'm buying assault turrets. I'm experimenting with a double assault turret. Mostly just because I'm bored. This game has been a bit of a snooze fest. Experimenting with different strategies. And because someone else plays the repair field emitter, it can be a pain in the ass to convince them otherwise. You see people are overconfident in their core strategies. Um, yep, there it is. You asking them the repair field. Horribly placed, unupgraded, no trinkets, no ammo. Just classic players trolling. They got not a whole lot happening in the game. This is me asking players to let me buy them tier 6. I could be spending my points on other things, but feeling generous. Especially with my 2 auto turrets, I'd be making more points if other people are repairing for me. There it is. It's the med rifle, which is nice. It's a really, really good tool. Rest of the game, pretty boring. props here and there. Replace. If you've run a game as ES before, you've seen this kind of game 100 times. Um, Nothing really exciting happens. The end is pretty interesting though. I think we'll watch to the end of that, and I'll point some things out to you about exfil, which doesn't really have much to do with cading, but I think it's important to pay attention to the, the details I point out just in general about map knowledge and where you need to go and where you need to be, and what doors exist. And props replacing on repeat. We're on wave 6, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. Replace prop, repeat, replace prop, repeat. Try not to get us killed by the shade. Do shade Kate a little bit here, but I think it's gonna be okay. There's my keybind for the Fistus cannon. People are freaking out, asking me to replace props as usual. They're being backseat caters, and to be surprised by my morphine and my bourbon. Gonna run into the exit. Oh, there's a bunch of zombies. We'll see. There's the doors. The doors are closed. We forgot to break the doors early enough in the game, and that's it. GG. And for the last video here, we will be on pub, and I'm going to be doing a different cade this time. It's not going to be your standard cade for replacements. It's going to be a bit of a shit cade, but it serves its purpose. The idea of a cade like this is to use every single prop between the doorway and the gen before the zombies really even get a proper opportunity to attack. This really only works on maps where you have doorways like this with these corridors. Um, long shooting corridors, and it kind of relies on the fact that each team is going to play like shit, and they're not going to play properly. And what you're going to end up doing is you're actually not going to be replacing or repairing beyond just having a repair field emitter. You're just going to use those points to buy a gun and shoot, and utilize the fact that you have this extremely long shooting corridor. And once, yeah, see, I immediately wait for those bars and place those. Just stuff that you would know if you played on pub before. Just another example of why you probably shouldn't be dating unless you've played on the map before, at least a handful of times and understand the map. But yep, I'm especially spending wave 2 and 3 layering as much as I can before the zombies uh, essentially force me out of this little corridor here by breaking the door. Just kidding, as much as I possibly can, using every single mana I have, every single prop. Um, it's a really inefficient way to use props if it's not in a VCade. They can just focus the top or the bottom, ignore everything else you do. Or like in this video, they're gonna go crawlers and just get a bunch of free damage. That's not really relevant, primarily because um, the Cade serves its purpose by ecoing me to a point where I can just, any gun down any hallway and destroy anything that's in my line of sight. And you'll see at some point I say, okay, it's wave 6. I don't want to be swapping between this gen and another gen. We're gonna go to the other gen and we're gonna just shoot there. We're just hold mouse button the whole way and win free. Um, and it does help that H team doesn't just run out and die to the hidden, and we don't have a bunch of shit caters who are overgating the front and not watching other entry points. So repair field emitter, force field. It's actually really nice. This game, I think H team communicated pretty well. They responded well to callouts, which isn't too often. Um, they brought me tons of props, as you can see, tons of chairs and planks and whatnot. I'm just being cute with it, trying to stack all these chairs. Doesn't really matter how you do it as long as the zombies are shootable. Waiting for more nails. But strategy does require a lot of nails. I would recommend maybe a loadout that has like a remat or something, some way to generate scrap to turn into nails would be nice. And it is your gen, so you're likely to get premium remat spot for people who are shooting in your gen. Just means you just print money. And there's no reason for me to play this at any other speed than 4x speed. Really just sitting around. See, I got the nail gun first. That's wave 4, and I've barely seen any zombies. So this is until wave 4 when they really make a proper nest and start attacking. And by this point, I've already cated the hell out of this hallway. I'm just gonna have the hardest time. I actually go up and open up this door and make it so they can walk in, but they don't have to destroy the door. They're gonna do it anyways because they know what's happening. It's funneling them a little bit more. It makes it harder for them to strafe in the hallway. Forces them to line up, but they eventually destroy it. We don't care about prop efficiency. There's a ridiculous number of props on this map. I really shouldn't be buying deployables like I am. I should have just gone straight to tier 6. That's just habit for me. See, I'm throwing nanites on these chairs. There's so many chairs, and they're all taking separate damage. And the nanites just farm me up, and I go immediately up to 200 plus points. Before the end of wave 4, even. Just shooting a bunch of zombies, stalling as long as I can. You can see, well, at least, I don't know if you can see it from this video, but Goblin is cading upstairs, and he's got a good gen spot. It doesn't even matter, they have a Frost Shade at 400 points. Right here, I should be buying a minigun. Might wait until the wave starts. Oh, no, I bought it. There it is. Now I'm just shooting with minigun for the rest of the game. Even though I'm the cater. Some people might think that's troll. I would disagree. Uh, Damage is the best thing you can be doing in this game. The zombies can never touch the props, and it doesn't really matter. It's like any action RPG. If you just have good DPS and the enemy team can't touch you, then there isn't any reason to not have as much damage as possible. We don't really care about point efficiency either. We just care about prop efficiency. We can't touch the props, and we don't really care. I'm just doing my best to track the zombies. Next minute. Everything can just mouse one the doorway. This kind of gameplay is relatively boring. I actually recently been advocating for the removal of Wave 6. I'm just punching down the gameplay of ZS, making it so that the game doesn't last quite as long. 35 minutes is quite a long time to be in a match where you're just staring at a doorway shooting zombies. I think there are other features being added. You see I'm backing everything up. I'm leaving, and I call it out and say, hey, the gen's dead. We're going to Wave 6. We're just going to sit in here. Goblins not quite happy with me for placing my repair filters the way I do, but I keep them full. They're upgraded. He doesn't have to worry about managing them. And I communicate that to him. We talk about it. And I understand his frustration. I have the same frustration that every other creator does. As you've seen in all the other videos. Not quite like the other players. I actually do keep them full. And I have the keybind for pulse ammo. And they are upgraded. And they are hitting all those props. Anything to take off the load from the cater. Allow them to cade better. And look, he's because he's offloaded this need to fill these repair field emitters. He can overcade. Look how overcaded that is in his wave 6. There's no way we lose with how overcaded that is. It's practically outside the doorway in his wave 6. That's really something. Minute left in wave 6 and not even a little bit sweating. Not even a little bit stressed. Frost Shade can't do anything. Never even get a lot below 1,000 for prop health. We are. I'm gonna face this. Use that to jump around. We're out. That's it. GG.